Well. Now we got the green light. See, that's what I was saying. The FBI, my agent that watches the stream, must have not liked what I had to say about him. Oh, abolishing the FBI speech there. They cut us off. Let me flip back to this screen because I hate that everybody pulled their stream back up and they're coming back to like Matt Gaetz looking all fucking creepy. You fucking perv. I don't know what is going on with Matt Gaetz and the investigation into his sex trafficking. I thought for sure the dude was going to get arrested based on the fact that his own friend flipped on him and has been convicted. So I thought for sure we were going to see Matt Gaetz perp walked out of Congress. But the latest report that we got was that the DOJ wasn't going to pursue charges. We should be back now, Tones. The internet went down for a good 3 or 4 minutes there. Gonna let everybody have the chance to get back in. YouTube probably because it went off. YouTube probably started a new video. And when that happens, I'll usually go back for people. As I said, people like to watch the show afterwards. So I'll go back and upload like the full version and put it in the playlist. Full show live replays or whatever it's called on YouTube. So I try to make sure that, you know, within a few hours you have access to the full show and everything is organized and categorized. Fortunately, when it cuts me off like that and it starts a new stream, YouTube doesn't automatically turn on commercials. When it starts a new stream, I'm not monetized. I'm not making money off of this stream. Fuck you. We want me raw and uncut. Well, unfortunately,
you live in sexual anarchy.
Fortunately, it was not my decision, but I have been circumcised. So. Looking for somebody uncut. I'm not your man. While I think my penis is a lot prettier without the foreskin, I also believe that's a violation. You should not do something like that without the consent of the person that you're doing it to. Womp womp indeed. Raw though, raw. Raw is the law around here. I had a woman one time that was like, I'm on birth control, so we don't have to use condoms. I was like, I don't think that's the reason why most people use condoms. Okay, I'm down with it. Oh shit. I had a memory. Okay, so I had a memory. Softball Saw came in on that one. My apologies. I had a memory on Facebook today. No, I shared out a story to Wells Fargo has reached an agreement to pay like $1 billion to the customers that they defrauded. They were just opening accounts in their customers' names. They were opening new accounts and shit, just charging them. Underhanded fucking bank. But that reminded me that back in like 2011, 2012, I had an idea. At least you came. Yeah, we weren't edging you. At least you came. I had this idea for a movie I called See Me Pee. You're in for a wild ride. It was going to be my girlfriend at the time. Just, we're going to follow her around as she pissed on different banks, and then she was going to tell the story of the 2008 financial collapse. And I got this idea from the fact that we pissed on a Wells Fargo on our first date. A cop came around too. We were pissing on the bank, and a cop came around to see what we were doing. Both of us very, very slick talkers. We were able to talk our way out of it. Oh, we just walked over here to get, money from the ATM. We weren't pissing on the side of the bank. I've had a wild life, guys. Why? Okay, so why does that look like the SpongeBob font behind Matt Gaetz? Hunter Biden's laptop. That's what Matt Gaetz is talking about. Matt Gaetz is one to talk about Hunter Biden's laptop. Are you going to accuse Hunter Biden of sleeping with underage girls, Mr. Gaetz? Matt Gaetz claims to have critical mass needed to sabotage Kevin McCarthy's speakership. Oh, it's an Asian font. Okay. I thought it looked like a Lovely Island font. Representative Matt Gaetz says he has a large enough critical mass of House Republicans to prevent Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy from becoming the Speaker in the new Congress. In an interview with right-wing podcast host Steve Bannon on Tuesday, Gaetz said that at least 5 Republicans would vote against McCarthy on January 3rd to prevent him from taking the gavel. By the way, they have 4 seats. They have a 4-seat advantage over Democrats. 5 would be enough to sink it. Yeah, we were having some internet issues there, Ida, but we were glad to have you back.
Sure. To catch everyone up, last week there were 36 votes.
Oh, content warning. You're going to have to look at Matt Gaetz and Steve Bannon
Against Kevin McCarthy in the Republican conference. And again, Kevin has had years to try to convince people of the worth of his candidacy. Since that time, 0 of those 36 have come out to say, you know what, I voted against McCarthy previously, but I am now prepared to vote for him on the floor. 0. Meanwhile, 5 members, which include myself, Andy Biggs, Bob Good, Matt Rosendale, and now most recently Ralph Norman, have all come out and said...
That's what you call the bottom of the barrel right there.
It's firm. It was not just a no vote within the Republican conference. It is a no vote we intend to carry to the floor. The reason that's significant is because Republicans are expected to hold a 4-seat majority. So 5 of us saying publicly we have no intention of voting for McCarthy, we are firm in our opposition to him, well, that ought to trigger a realization among Republicans that we need a consensus candidate. We need someone who is...
Now, Bannon, who is a savvy political operative, probably knows this is a bad move. I'm interested to see what Bannon has to say back to Gaetz.
More broadly respected throughout the Republican conference, and we need someone who believes in a bottom-up, membership-empowered House of Representatives. A top-down system run by Kevin McCarthy is not preferable because we don't like top-down systems, but also because, when...
Proud Union soldier.
Arises,
You're here.
The human instinct is fight or flight. And we have seen...
Viceroy, good evening, my friend. Thank you for being a freaking follower.
Flight. In the days following January 6th, he believed that Donald Trump should resign. And when I verbally criticized Liz Cheney, Kevin McCarthy said that might have been encouraging violence against people. And actually, in our country, we're smart enough to know that when we engage in discourse and debate...
Sending you greetings to Albania.
Sharp criticism, that doesn't green light violence. Oftentimes, that's what stops a civilized society from devolving into violence. I've seen Kevin McCarthy's behavior in the majority. He was the guy who was always willing to carry the bag for Paul Ryan when, it's interesting to see McCarthy go around talking about all the subpoenas he wants to issue.
Yeah, Matt Gaetz is pretty sleazy.
In the majority last, when he was the majority leader last, he did not utter one word in support of the subpoenas that Jim Jordan and, at the time, Ron DeSantis and Mark Meadows and I were calling for in the House Judiciary Committee. So Kevin McCarthy will revert to his establishment mean the moment he gets power, and that's why there are enough of us now, a critical mass, standing as a bulwark against his ascension to the speakership.
Okay, but over the last, 10 days?
See, I knew it. Bannon's got a butt. Bannon is a smart man. Evil, but he's a smart man.
Since the vote, I mean, it looks like you had this joint press conference. You got Comer putting up charts about Hunter Biden. We're going to have Natalie Winters and others in here in the second hour to go through that. You've got Jim Jordan coming off the chain on a number of things. They're down at the border today. They're going to make a special announcement.
Coming off the chain, I'd like to point out that Jim Jordan covered up sexual abuse claims at the University of Ohio. Or at Ohio State University, I'm sorry.
Yorkis, MTG is out there like a precision-guided missile. It looks like it's all fight, no flight.
We're going to talk about MTG and her fight against Boebert.
Our audience, that's too late a conversion?
Well, it's certainly easy to be in favor of fighting when you're in the minority, when the bullets aren't real, when the rounds aren't live. And we saw this in the Obamacare discussion.
Weird analogy to make here in mass shooting USA. They're obsessed with Hunter Biden schlong.
Come on, man.
Discussion where, Kevin McCarthy and Paul Ryan were willing to put the repeal of Obamacare on Obama's desk 60 times, knowing he would veto it. But then, when the rounds were live, when we were in the majority, there was no sense of fight. So I'm concerned.
Oh, no, sir. No, sir. I lived through 2017. You guys tried to repeal the ACA, and voters fucking had a backlash over it. You tried to take away people's health care. I lived through, we didn't have a sense of fight. No. The voters fought back, and it was clear that it was very unpopular to try to kill the ACA.
That as it relates to Kevin McCarthy, it's all a puppet show for him. It's all performative. It's not real. And that doesn't in any way discount the incredible oversight work that Congresswoman Green has done, that Jamie Comer has done, that we are planning to do in the House Judiciary Committee.
Masalopsy. Good evening, my friend.
Kevin McCarthy. That is happening oftentimes in spite of Kevin McCarthy. And if you think that this is an optimized Republican team now, wait till we get a real fighter with real vision at the head of it, not someone who has to stick his finger into the air to see which way is the wind blowing before determining where to lead the troops into battle.
There you have it. Bannon didn't push back as much as I thought he would. I don't know what the end game is on this. Surely Bannon knows it's a bad idea, but I can't imagine that Gates and his little band of chuckle fucks like Jim Jordan are going to allow the Democrats to pick the Speaker of the House. Are you really going to let Mondale Jones become the Speaker? I doubt it. Christmas came early. Critics amused as open secret feud between Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene escalates. I told you, Greene is indeed a fighter. She's not fighting dildos in Walmart. Fighting with Lauren Boebert to see who can be the biggest MAGA pinup girl. Drama over Kevin McCarthy's bid for House Speaker has pitted one-time friends Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene against one another, much to the amusement of onlookers. Oh, Mock's picking a side on this one. Mox is with MTG. Boebert, who narrowly won re-election to her Colorado House seat, took a shot at Greene, who handily won a second term in her Georgia House seat, and her supposed belief in Jewish space lasers. During Turning Point USA's Winter Student Conference, and Greene hit back in a series of tweets. I've supported and donated to Lauren Boebert, Green tweeted. President Trump has supported and donated to Lauren Boebert. Kevin McCarthy has supported and donated to Lauren Boebert. She just barely came through by 500 votes. She gladly takes our money, but when she's been asked, Lauren refuses to endorse President Trump. She refuses to support Kevin McCarthy, and she childishly threw me under the bus for a cheap soundbite. Media users were not sure who to root for in the GOP. As producer Dave always says, no one to root for in this one. Marjorie Taylor Greene is attacking Lauren Boebert. Sounds like the far right knows it's sinking. It's a sinking ship without a paddle. This is according to Representative Richie Torres. In a fight between Bobblehead and MTG, I'd root for a sinkhole. Holy shit, Marjorie Taylor Greene is now attacking Lauren Boebert for saying I don't believe in Jewish space lasers. Boebert is childishly throwing her under the bus, said MSNBC podcast host Brian Taylor Cohen. Get your popcorn ready. That was indeed savage. That is not the only flack that Boebert is taking on social media. You're not the best at math. Gas prices expert mocks Lauren Boebert's attack on Biden.
Come on, man.
The expert on gas prices mocked Representative Lauren Boebert on Tuesday for launching a nonsensical attack on President Joe Biden's recent decision to restock the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. A couple of days ago, Boebert attacked Biden for buying up 3 million oil barrels to restock the reserve after he sold off an estimated 180 million barrels earlier this year in an effort to lower spiking gas prices. Trump stocked up our reserves at record low prices, she wrote on Twitter. Then Biden emptied it out to get through the midterms. Now he's going to stock it back up at a much higher price. That ain't true. While the consumer is paying much higher prices for gas, the cost of a barrel is pretty cheap right now. But Patrick DeHaan, a gas price tracker who in the past has been critical of Biden for not doing enough to boost gasoline supply, pointed out in response that the Strategic Petroleum Reserve is now buying back oil barrels at a significantly lower rate than what it sold them for earlier this year. And that's how that works, by the way. When you hear that a president released some of the strategic reserve, it's a loan to oil companies. And once the price of a barrel reaches a certain threshold, the oil companies are required to replenish the strategic reserve. Average selling price was $96 at the time of the sales, including some sales close to $120, and the price today is $75. You're not the best at math. He also noted that the Strategic Petroleum Reserve saw a net decline in barrels during Trump's tenure, dropping from 695 million barrels in 2017 to 634 million by 2020. Mox bringing up the Saudis. Thank you for setting me up for the next story. Maybe I killed it. I don't see the link anymore. Damn it. Remember, the 2 weeks leading up to Christmas, Justin usually checks out. Justin is not on top of his game right now. Okay, I can't even find the story. Can't even find the story anymore. I don't read this shit beforehand, so I don't remember. The Saudis have said they're worried about their reserves of not having enough oil, that they are running out, apparently. Turned heads at Paris Fashion Week. I had a story about the Saudis, but, you know, ain't here no more, so fuck off. Never mind. I lied to you. Also, fuck the Saudis. Fuck Prince Bonesaw. Merry Christmas, proud Union soldier. Merry Christmas to you. Or Happy Hanukkah if you're celebrating Hanukkah right now. This is the third day or fourth day? Which day of Hanukkah is it? I should have mentioned that earlier when earlier in the week Hanukkah started. Happy Hanukkah to our Jewish friends. And this is probably coming as a shock to people watching me on BitChute and Rumble right now. No, I'm not Jewish. I don't know why they all think I'm Jewish on the Nazi platform. But I'm not. I'm not Jewish. It would be a big deal if I was. But I'm not. But happy Hanukkah to our Jewish friends. Kwanzaa coming up this weekend. Need to check and see when it actually is. Happy holidays to everyone, though. No matter what you celebrate or don't celebrate. Celebrate Festivus on Friday. Celebrate the solstice tonight. Or is it tomorrow night? Tomorrow night. Tomorrow night's the solstice. But whatever you celebrate, or if you're just having the seasonal depression and taking some time off, happy holidays, happy today. Speaking of being anointed, I got the email. I always forget about it until I get the email. It's been 12 years since I became a minister. And I'm like, oh yeah, I am a minister, aren't I? Happy Hanukkah to everyone who celebrates. Happy Festivus to those celebrating on Friday. If you're celebrating Festivus on Friday, don't forget to tune in to the Friday Night Freak Show, where we have a very special guest co-host, Krampus. Krampus will be the special guest co-host on Friday night. I cannot wait. This is going to be a lot of fun. Krampus. Special guest co-host this Friday night on the Friday Night Freak Show. I've been working on that one. Been teasing it. I said I had a big announcement. Krampus is going to be joining us. Get your questions ready if you have any questions for Krampus. I'm probably going to go back to sleep after this stream ends because I am fucking tired. Cats wake me up every half hour, every hour. Smokey over here taking a nap right now. I go wake you up, buddy. Come on. Feel to get woken up, Smokes, huh? He ain't happy about it. Smokey, not so much the culprit, it was more Socks. And it really upsets me when Socks does it, because I'll get all comfortable with him. He'll lay down, and we'll get cuddled up, and I'll put my hand in his floof, and then, like, wraps around my hand, but then all of a sudden he'll get a wild hair up his ass, jump up, and then start knocking on the door. God damn it, Socks. Speaking of annoying people, annoying pussies. Hell of a segue there, Justin. Speaking of annoying pussies, Jonathan Turley was on Fox News. Yesterday was the final committee hearing for the January 6th committee. I think it was yesterday. Am I right on that one, guys? Because I've really fucked up my sleep schedule. It is Tuesday, right? We covered the January 6th hearing. I had not been to bed since the stream the night before. Went to bed after the hearing. Wing Bree B. Evening. So glad to have you here. I don't think I ever told you thank you for being a freaking follower. We're so glad to have you. Let me do that segue again. Speaking of annoying pussies, Jonathan Turley was on Fox News. January 6th committee hearing. Talking about how the real victims in the whole January 6th insurrection were the Republicans.
And I think that that's a shame because there is material that has come out of this committee that's deeply disturbing. This is not the proprietary ownership of the Democratic Party. That riot on January 6th was a desecration of our constitutional process. And yet it's been weaponized to some extent by this committee, which did not pursue other issues in these public sessions. And I think that that's a shame because there is material that has come out of this committee that's deeply disturbing. This is not the proprietary ownership of the Democratic Party. That riot on January 6th was a desecration of our constitutional process. And yet it's been weaponized to some extent by this committee, which did not pursue other issues in these public sessions.
Oh, I've heard all the issues they want to talk about is, why didn't Nancy Pelosi call in the National Guard? Why did she deny security beforehand? Which all of that has been debunked. Now, I'll agree that the January 6th committee hearing didn't delve deep enough into a lot of issues I would have liked to have found out about, such as the connection between people like Mike Flynn and our intelligence agencies. Mike Flynn's brother had a really high-ranking position on January 6th. We should have been looking into him. And testimony obtained by CBS News. Let's hear a piece of this audio.
In just a few hours, the January 6th committee is expected to vote on recommending...
Yeah, this was before the committee hearing yesterday. They did indeed vote on 4 criminal referrals for Trump and other associates. Eastman was part of the referrals.
Exclusively obtained new audio from a key witness interviewed by the January 6th committee. The recording gives us a window into the testimony of former President Trump's national security advisor, Michael Flynn. CBS News chief election and campaign correspondent Robert Costa has more.
Tomorrow,
what up, Bob?
We're going to be here, and we want you to know that we will not stand for a lie.
Ahead of the January 6 attack on the Capitol, retired Lieutenant General Michael Flynn was a central figure in the right-wing effort to block the certification of the 2020
Yes, I would have liked to heard more about
January 6
Congress people that were participating in it as well.
He repeatedly invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination and said little.
General Flynn, do you believe in the peaceful transition of power in the United States of America?
Until now,
how the fuck do you plead the fifth to that? Do you believe in the peaceful transfer of power? I plead the fifth. Lord Locke, good evening.
Has only released snippets of Flynn's deposition, but CBS News has obtained new audio files that reveal more, including that he was questioned about whether he pressured defense and intelligence officials.
Between November 3rd, 2020 and January 20th, 2021, did you have any conversations with any current or former officials at the Office of the Director of National Intelligence?
Director of National Intelligence, that's the office his brother was in.
Election fraud or other irregularities in the 2020 presidential elections.
During the deposition, Flynn was pressed on whether he contacted a then top intelligence official, Ezra Cohen.
In your phone call with Mr. Cohen, did you tell him that he needed to return to the United States from his trip abroad because, quote, something's about to happen, unquote?
The investigator kept pressing about a second call to Cohen.
And during the second phone call with Mr. Cohen, did you tell him that, quote, we need to have the military take over the election and redo the election, unquote, or something like that?
The fifth.
A person close to Cohen told CBS News Flynn did call him twice, alarming Cohen, who allegedly told Flynn he needed to move on.
Flynn is a grifter. This motherfucker was working for several unsavory foreign governments, and now he's basically keeping the QAnon movement alive. I highly recommend the second season of the search for QAnon or the hunt for QAnon, whatever it is that Vice did. It is very much focused on Flynn and his Reawaken America tour.
People familiar with the investigation say Cohen has spoken with the January 6th committee at its request. Flynn's alleged contact with a top Pentagon official came under the spotlight, too.
We understand that around December 2020, you contacted Mr. Anthony Kata from the Department of Defense regarding the 2020 election. Is that true? That's good.
Tata, in a statement to CBS News, said in part in December 2020, I never spoke with Mike Flynn about anything. But former federal prosecutor Scott Frederickson says the committee's line of questioning tells us something about the potential scope of the investigation.
This is not the kind of stuff they just kind of pull out of a hat.
Sir, you have not seen my hat.
Some other witness or witnesses are telling them that they had these kinds of conversations. That's quite a revelation. That's a stunning revelation.
Aurelio says the House has voted to release Trump's tax returns. I figured they would.
Constitutional rights under the Fifth Amendment upon the advice of counsel. That he chose not to dignify their absurd questions was necessary to combat yet another political witch hunt. A spokesman for the House Select Committee declined to comment to CBS News.
Now, when Flynn refused to answer whether he believes in a very principle that sits at the heart of American democracy, you can sort of understand why he would plead the fifth to some of the other questions, but here, why might he have chosen to do so there?
Seriously.
He invoked his right against self-incrimination as outlined under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. And as Scott Frederickson, the former federal prosecutor, told
good evening.
CBS News, if you're going to invoke the Fifth Amendment during this kind of testimony, you have to do it repeatedly. And so that was his decision, he says, upon the advice of counsel. His lack of answers in this deposition wasn't helpful to the January 6th committee as they were trying to piece together his contacts, alleged contacts, with defense and intelligence officials. But the questions in this deposition, which CBS News has obtained audio of, are very revealing of the investigative targets sought out by the January 6th committee, which is set to release a final report this week as it started to really build up the investigation earlier this year.
And have we heard any response to this new audio or even Flynn's decision?
People on Capitol Hill are still digesting this aspect of the investigation. It is expected that in the coming days and weeks, the January 6th committee will release certain transcripts from its investigation. It's unclear whether the Flynn deposition will be included in the transcripts that are released. But Flynn remains a central figure in how people look at January 6th, not just in Congress on the House Select Committee, but there are also ongoing grand jury investigations inside the Justice Department that are trying to piece together, based on our reporting at CBS, how different extremist groups, right-wing groups, White House officials, congressional Republicans, outside lawyers all interacted in the period after the November 2020 election and what happened between that period and the Capitol attack.
Bree.
And so, Robert,
thank you for the sub.
Today's committee meeting, just how significant is
Tones giving out the gift subs again. Merry Christmas, Tones.
It's legally insignificant in the sense that this does not matter in terms of prosecution, but it's politically significant, and it makes a statement about the House Select Committee's conclusion. And so in terms of the public understanding of what happened on January 6th and whether President Trump's conduct, the former president's conduct, should be scrutinized and criticized, the January 6th committee is likely to
that's the
recommend,
least.
based on our
That's the least of it.
that the Justice Department pursue criminal charges in different areas, including fraud against the United States, inciting an insurrection. Some of this is not surprising. We've already had an impeachment proceeding and a Senate trial over Trump's conduct regarding January 6th. But this is a further recommendation, all as the Justice Department continues to mull through a special counsel whether to prosecute Trump or not.
And whether he is prosecuted or not, Robert, how do you think GOP leaders are going to respond or are responding to this potential recommendation?
Among some in the GOP, there is a rallying to the barricades right now politically to help Trump, but there's also a muted response from some quarters of the Republican Party, and that's notable politically because Trump is already a federal candidate running again for the presidency, but some of his rivals at that upper ring of the Republican Party believe he could be politically hindered by what's happening legally, what's happening with this congressional report, and they're waiting and watching to see if Trump becomes vulnerable in the coming months to a possible challenge. A lot of people are still thinking through whether they want to jump in to the presidential race and challenge Trump for the nomination.
All right, Bob, thank you so much.
I mean, usually you don't get announcements of candidacy until like the spring, summer of next year. Like Trump announcing in November was just wild. And I was watching some documentary the other day, and Reagan announced like the Christmas before the election year. Like, wow, how things have changed. They would already be holding primary debates. Because this time next year, we will have already watched 20 Republican primary debates. Guaranteed. I don't think there's likely to be Democratic debates. I hope so. I don't think it's likely. I would say it's a lock that Biden will be running again. Unfortunately, all the polls, most people don't want Biden to run. More people don't want Biden to run than don't want Trump to run. Something like 65% of the country doesn't want Trump to run, and like 75% doesn't want Biden to run. Wild. Go to one of Trump's favorite candidates in Arizona, Kari Lake, refusing to acknowledge that she lost the gubernatorial race. Attorney argues to dismiss Kari Lake's lawsuit contesting the results of the Arizona governor's race, pointing out that there isn't any evidence of a master plot and that Lake's allegations are directed mostly at Republicans.
Lake, there was a concerted, coordinated effort among signature reviewers, Runbeck employees, and Maricopa voting machine technicians to rig the election against her. This master plot was deployed on Election Day precisely because more Republicans tend to vote on Election Day. And this intentional conduct against Republican voters was driven by the Maricopa County Recorder, who is a Republican, and the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors.
I can go ahead and tell you what every single right-winger is going to say. They're rhinos. Anytime a Republican doesn't fall in line with the Trump wing of the party, they're rhinos. They're Republicans in name only.
4 out of 5 of whom are also Republican. And remarkably, this scheme took place among some scores of election officials and non-government actors without a single trace. No documents, no emails, no leaks. There's a reason that election contests do not entertain such far-fetched allegations of intentional conduct and instead require allegations of fraud with particularity as to the who, what, when, where, and how.
That was yesterday before the judge issued his decision that all but 2 of the claims were dismissed. There was 10 counts in the lawsuit. All but 2 of them were tossed by the judge.
Breaking news from court, a judge has set a short trial over Kari Lake's election lawsuit and her demand for an election redo. In a ruling from the judge out late tonight, that judge dismissed 8 of the 10 claims made by Lake, who lost the race for governor. Still, the judge told her lawyers to turn in evidence to support her claim that the printer problems at some Maricopa County polling sites were intentional and done to impact the outcome of the election. The deadline for them to turn in that evidence is tomorrow. Lake also claims hundreds of thousands of ballots were cast illegally, but the Secretary of State's office and all county election officials call her lawsuit baseless and frivolous.
So now that tomorrow was today, so they submitted those documents today. I don't believe we got a decision from the judge just yet, so we'll update. But you guys need to pray. You need to pray for Kari Lake. Pray for Kari Lake. Bad way right now because she lost the election.
Now, if they thought we would just sulk and accept the results of a rigged sham election, they were wrong. My resolve to fight for the millions of Arizonans.
There's no rigged or sham election.
With years of botched elections is stronger than ever.
Cicero, good evening.
Say thank you to all of you who are praying for me and supporting me in our movement. Please pray for the brave witnesses,
Makeup definitely isn't baseless,
citizens who saw what happened and documented it. And
Joke had a good foundation.
Courageous legal team. And pray for the judge who's overseeing this case. The world is watching what happens here. We, the people of Arizona, demand honest elections, and we won't stop until we get them. Now, if they thought we would just sulk and accept the results of a rigged sham election, they were wrong. My resolve to fight for the millions of Arizonans disgusted with years of botched elections is stronger than ever. I want to say thank you to all of you who are praying for me and supporting me in our movement. Please pray for the brave witnesses, whistleblowers, and citizens who saw what happened and documented it. And for our patriotic courageous
There aren't any whistleblowers.
And pray for the judge who's overseeing this case. The world is watching what happens here. We, the people of Arizona.
Sure, good evening. I don't know what you mean. Why does it look like YouTube?
Now, if they thought we would just sulk and accept the results of a rigged sham election.
Oh, we started over there. I was wondering, what do you mean by my stream looks like YouTube? We're usually on YouTube. You can't explain it. We were having internet issues earlier, but things have worked out. Hey, I bitched about the FBI, and then the FBI took me down. Lawyers for Kari Lake have dismissed, or they have withdrawn their subpoena for Katie Hobbs. Happened earlier today. Lawyers withdraw subpoena for Katie Hobbs hours after Kari Lake boasted she'd be forced to testify. The judge this week ruled that defeated Republican Arizona gubernatorial nominee Kari Lake's lawsuit aiming to overturn her loss to Katie Hobbs can go forward, although he also severely restricted the grounds on which the lawsuit can be heard. As reported by the Arizona Mirror on Tuesday, Maricopa County Superior Court Judge Peter Thompson tossed out 7 of the 9 claims made by Lake's attorneys in the original lawsuit, which means her lawyers will have to prove a very specific set of facts in order to be successful. Neither of the 2 claims allowed by the judge has to do with Arizona Governor-elect Katie Hobbs, whom Lake had accused of malfeasance in her role as Arizona's Secretary of State. The withdrawal of the subpoena came mere hours after Lake boasted on Twitter that her Democratic opponent would face a grilling from her lawyers on the witness stand. This week, Katie Hobbs will take the witness stand. Never underestimate the power of prayer. Malfeasance, not maleficent. Never underestimate the power of prayer. They did a study and found that, there was, it fell in the range of, chance. They did a study about prayer and found that prayer was actually, how do I put this? Less helpful. The people that were prayed for had worse outcomes. I'd have to look. It's been a while since I looked at that study. power of prayer. I don't know how to put it. For all 59% of patients who knew they were being prayed for had complications, compared to 51% of the patients who did not receive prayer. Largest study to date found prayer has no power to heal. This is back in 2006. Apparently, the recovery of patients who had undergone a cardiac bypass. A Catholic priest who was involved in the research said he wasn't surprised by the results. So you knew it was bullshit. North Carolina County is set to hold another election after a poll worker wrongly told voters that a candidate had died. North Carolina State Board of Elections on Monday unanimously decided to call a do-over election for a local race in Surry County after a poll worker repeatedly told at least one voter that one of the candidates running was dead, despite the person actually being alive. Which is weird because this happens almost all election cycles, but we had a dead person win in this past election cycle. It is unfortunate what had happened, and is certainly through no malice or ill will of anybody at the county, said Damon Surcosta, chairman of the state elections board. But I think it goes to show that when issues arise, there's procedures we have in which to remedy them, and that's where we are now. The new Dobson Town Commissioner contest is scheduled to be held on March 7th between J. Wayne Atkins, Walter White, Walter died a few years back, and John Shack placed first, second, and third respectively. State's election board, a poll worker had wrongly told one or more voters that John Zach was dead when in fact another candidate, Sharon Gates Hodges, had died. Regardless, poll workers sharing such information is prohibited. Gates Hodges appeared on the November ballot but received the fewest votes. Vote Walter White, bitches. Those of you who don't know why that's funny to me, Walter White is the name of the lead character in Breaking Bad. Teacher played by Bryan Cranston. Faced with overwhelming medical bills for getting cancer, resulted to making meth. Classic late 2000s TV show. Never stopped Truck Grassley from running. You guys heard about George Santos? Just elected to congressman, or just elected to Congress. Apparently, motherfucker lied. Motherfucker lied about a lot of things.
Explosive report from the New York Times suggests Congressman-elect George Santos may have lied about major events in his life. The Long Island Republicans' win in a blue district helped give the GOP control of the House. But CBS 2's Carolyn Gussoff shows us there are growing calls for him to resign even before he's sworn in.
34-year-old George Santos turned a blue district red to represent Nassau's North Shore and parts of Queens by campaigning as a seasoned financier. But this New York Times investigative story calls into question key parts of the resume he sold to voters. Employers and alma mater Santos listed have no record of him, including Citigroup and Goldman Sachs, Baruch College, and NYU. Other parts of his resume may be largely fiction. A purported nonprofit animal rescue claims he lost employees at the Pulse nightclub shooting. The Times review of public documents and court filings found criminal charges for check fraud in Brazil, eviction cases against him, and raised campaign finance questions.
This is not about resume padding. This is allegations about the fact he lied on his house ethics.
Robert, oh, I was trying to make a Bob Dylan joke there. Apparently Bob Dylan had some weird things to say about modern music.
The fact he lied on his House ethics forms.
I was confused. It's George Zimmerman. Bob being his stage name. I was trying to make a joke and just completely I stopped. I don't feel the best tonight, so forgive me for being off of my game.
In Brazil, eviction cases against him and raised campaign finance questions.
This is not about resume padding. This is allegations about the fact he lied on his House ethics forms. Allegations about him lying about his personal finances, where his money came from for his campaign. And what's most troubling is George Santos' refusal to answer any questions about this at all.
During the campaign, Robert Zimmerman, his Democratic opponent, had called out inconsistencies. Santos's attorney calls the story a shock.
But what does that say about you that you lost to a prolific liar? What does it say about you and your candidacy?
On blast of attacks. It is no surprise that Congressman-elect Santos has enemies at the New York Times who are attempting to smear his good name with these defamatory allegations. The leader of the Nassau Republican Party said George Santos deserves an opportunity to address the claims detailed in the article. The Times couldn't even find evidence he lives at the address where he's registered to vote.
The totality of it.
Now that should disqualify him.
That, I don't think that the Congress should seat him. Frankly, it's within their purview to decide to seat someone or not. This is not the person that voters chose to elect.
Some are calling on Santos to resign.
To lie about where he lives, where he went to college, to lie about his employees dying in a
he's running as a Republican, so
disqualified to run for office.
They don't give a shit.
Observers point out little can be done unless any alleged mischaracterization amounts to a crime.
It's extremely rare throughout the history of this country that Congress has actually expelled one of their own. Unfortunately, lying on your resume is not a problem.
But if you don't live in the district,
we'll just have to wait for
that's a little different
to be able to have their say.
Santos's attorney says he is discussing the congressman-elect's response. His former opponent says the response is already overdue. In Great Neck, Long Island, Carolyn Gussoff, CBS 2 News.
Now, no evidence of the $80 million family investment firm Santos has said he manages. And for a link to the New York Times article, just go to our website, cbsnewyork.com.
Oh, well. It was a story we had to cut off last night when I wasn't feeling well, and I really wanted to hear that one. Republicans lie? Never. That never happens. I'm not getting ready to show you a Fox News story where they also lie to you. Pro-life activist arrested for praying silently near an abortion facility. Pro-life charity volunteer was arrested by police after she told them she might have been praying near a closed abortion facility. Something smells fishy here. Fox News isn't even going to let me look. I'm calling them out. A charity volunteer was arrested after she told police she might be praying silently when they asked why she was standing on a public street near an abortion facility, according to a report from Alliance Defending Freedom UK. Oh, wait a minute. This didn't even happen in the U.S. Isabel Von Spruce, the director of the UK March for Life, was standing near the BPAS Robert Clinic in Kings Norton, Birmingham, in an area ADF UK called a censorship zone. What the fuck is a censorship zone? Approached her after an onlooker complained that she might be praying outside the abortion facility, the report said. Birmingham's authorities established a buffer zone around abortion clinics, which makes it illegal for an individual to engage in an act or attempted act of approval or disapproval as it relates to abortion and includes verbal or written means like praying or counseling. So, was not arrested for praying silently. Was arrested for trespassing. Huge difference. But Fox is incredibly dishonest. Guys, the far right is taking hold across the globe. It's not just the U.S. We got some of the dumbest, though. God of Buffalo, good evening. Happy Hanukkah to you. You were well tonight, my friend. Yeah, I wished you happy Hanukkah. But we're coming up on the big Christian holiday. What better way for us to celebrate the upcoming Christian holiday? By me detailing this pastor that can't find a building to host his hate speech. A brief video posted on one of his alternative YouTube channels this morning. I guess it was yesterday morning. Christian hate preacher Jonathan Shelley, whose church faced eviction earlier this year, said he would have to find a new location for Steadfast Baptist Church because nobody really wants to lease to us. Can you blame them? Hey, this was posted 2 days ago. 2 days.
Hey everybody, this is Pastor Jonathan Shelley from Steadfast Baptist Church, and I wanted to give you an update about our church location. We're actually unfortunately gonna have to move again for next year, and so obviously we've been protested,
it's Gergen
every single week.
Good evening, my friend. Thank you for being a freaking follower.
Really years at this point, and it doesn't seem like it's gonna.
Well, my opinion on churches. Churches are nothing but organized pedophile rings. So, I find out you're a preacher at a church, I automatically think you should probably be investigated.
And so obviously we've been protested, every single week for really years at this point, and it doesn't seem like it's going to change anytime soon.
Have you tried not being a piece of shit?
Nobody really wants.
Here's the thing, buddy. Here's the thing. If Christians actually acted like Christ and followed Christ's commandments, nobody would have an issue with you. If you were to love everyone and treat them as you would want to be treated, turn the other cheek, advocate for the poor and downtrodden, give everything you own to the poor. These are things Jesus actually said. If you were to do these things, nobody would have an issue with you. Not a single soul. If you were to actually follow the teachings of Christ, nobody would have a problem with you. The problem is that these people back here protesting are protesting because you twist the Bible in order to fit your agenda and mask your bigotry as religious freedom.
So it makes it very difficult. I am still working on a few options.
I hope they make your life difficult.
A lot of legal fees and all kinds of different issues. If you really want to be a part of our church, it's never been a better time. Our church is growing. We have a lot of people that love the Lord, and everything's looking really up. Hey everybody, this is Pastor Jonathan Shelley.
Everything's looking really up as we're trying to find a new venue that will actually let us rent from them. Now, I would show your asshole some love, Lord Locke. I would totally show your asshole some love.
You live in sexual anarchy?
Everyone's asshole needs a little love. I scare myself sometimes, Locke. Apparently, Barack Obama's asshole wasn't getting enough love. What the fuck is up with my browsers here? Why does Google Chrome keep freezing on me? What the fuck? Apparently, former President Barack Obama's asshole was not getting enough love from Michelle. Back in 2000, he apparently considered divorcing her. Barack Obama and wife Michelle almost divorced in the year 2000. The year 2000. Barack Obama is one of the most polarizing people in American history. Is he? Is he really? He's one of the most popular politicians. Politically, Obama inspired people who loved him or people who hated him. Now, there was no in between. People either loved or hated him, it seemed. There was no in between as to, but on my line there, as to why it was like this. People have their own speculations. Whatever the case, Obama became a part of the culture. It is so much so that people even admire his marriage with Michelle Obama. However, some experts from Obama's 2020 book have gone viral where he admits he considered divorcing Michelle. Barack Obama definitely made history, and Michelle Obama receives a lot of credit for being the woman behind the man. As a result, there are people who have hoped to have a Barack and Michelle kind of love. After all, there was a movie made that was based solely on their first date. However, there was a time in the year 2000 when it looked like none of this would happen. Instead, it looked like the two were going to break up. Barack Obama detailed all of this in his 2020 book, A Promised Land. Twitter, people are just reacting to it now. The people who are commenting on this are making fun of the people who said they wanted a Barack and Michelle type of relationship. Those people are pointing out how Barack almost divorced Michelle. In addition, they pointed out how selfish the former president sounded when explaining his reasons in the book. I'd like to know what his reasons were. We're gonna get catty here. It's Gherkin. Yeah, sure. Rob Knower. There you go. Rob Knower. But be prepared for the absolute deluge of dumb fuckery that you will get from that absolute moron. Have fun, though. Have fun. Happy to provide you with a recommendation. Someone whose asshole seemed to get a little love and care after dinner the other night seemed to be former governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo, Kellyanne Conway, who was apparently not showing George Conway's asshole any love, went out for Italian. Wait a minute, wasn't it Cuomo said he couldn't be racist because he was Italian or some shit? Perhaps Rob is talking about the Twitter files and isn't still talking about the FBI and Hillary Clinton. Seriously, every time I drop into a stream, he's talking about Hillary Clinton. Fucking-cessed. So maybe the Twitter files allowed him to move on. I kind of doubt it. Cuomo and Kellyanne Conway seemed like mortal enemies back in the day, which is why this story is so curious. The New York Post caught the former governor and former Trump honcho hitting up Postino Monday night in New York City's Upper East Side, with the ex-gov trailing KC as they left the Italian restaurant around 10 p.m. Well, he looks happy. Cuomo and Conway were mum over the purpose of their dinner, but it's sure interesting. Cuomo was effectively booted from office last year, and Kellyanne's former boss has certainly had his own issues, so there's some common ground. Okay, just a theory, but Cuomo has repeatedly been making sounds about running again, and Kellyanne seems to be keeping her distance from Trump. So yeah, I speculated that this could be a romantic entanglement, but it could be a business proposition. Could be both. Who knows? Before we wrap up tonight, we're going to talk about your holiday travel. I do want to point out, I'm going to give you the heads up on the programming for the rest of the week. On Friday night, we have a very special guest co-host. One of the most famous guest co-hosts we've ever had on the Friday Night Freak Show. Krampus will be joining us for the Christmas Eve edition of the Friday Night Freak Show. Saturday night, we're going to have a special Troll Patrol. NORAD tracking Santa. Show you clips of Joe Biden taking calls from children and shit. I tune in to find out about Krampus. I don't think Krampus has made an appearance on a YouTube channel before. I can't verify this. I did not actually get to speak to Krampus either. I will be talking to Krampus for the first time on the stream. I talked to Krampus's people. Confirmed earlier today. Krampus, the Friday Night Freak Show on Christmas Eve. There's a possibility that I will not be joining you on Thursday. I do kind of have tentative plans to go out to dinner with a friend. However, there's the possibility that the snow is going to hit us. Who knows exactly what's going to happen? Lady B, good evening. Good evening. So glad to see you. Some people are trying to get their holiday travel out of the way before this storm moves through the country.
Now this is the kind of airport you want to see. Not too hectic, not too frantic, not too shabby.
Well, going down to visit my daughter, the grandkids, and sit around the Christmas tree and have a nice time.
For Gregory Jenkins and many others, having a nice time means beating the rush.
Remember Gregory Jenkins?
I don't really mind it. I just hate planes, so that's why I'm here.
This is Tuesday at noon at South Station, and there were already a lot of travelers heading out a few days before the storm heads in, including these two musicians from Berkeley.
The last plane ticket I got was like $900 for Thanksgiving, so...
Phoebe, good evening.
It's a little longer, but it's not too bad, you know?
Back to those who are flying this week. To make it easier, TSA recommends avoiding what it calls airport...
I have a friend, though, and she's up in Canada. Apparently, she was flying to Costa Rica, and it don't look like her trip to Costa Rica gonna be happening.
Rush hour in the morning and the evening, and to save on the stress by arriving early. Also use gift bags instead of wrapping paper in case items need to be opened up. And this is something I'm going to do in the future. Put that wallet and cell phone in your carry-on instead of in a bin and on the belt. And so airlines around the country know that travelers are eager to push those flights up, and they've offered travel waivers, most of them, but obviously check with your airline before you arrive here at the airport.
This is actually some good travel tips. Any of you are doing some traveling for this holiday? Heard them mention the storm. My God. We're looking at life-threatening cold weather overtaking much of the U.S. on this Christmas week.
All in all, what that means is just that we are going to be dealing with very cold temperatures right in time.
When did they give Tiffany Trump a job doing the weather?
For kind of the start of astronomical winter, if you will. Lots of wind chill alerts, as you can see in place. Wind chill warnings, they are going into effect for much of the state of Montana, the Dakotas, even into Kansas. So my home state, Kansas. And then we see those wind chill watches taking over. And so that number right there has also been increasing steadily throughout the afternoon. Now 57 million folks are currently under some form of wind chill alert. And this is because these temperatures, these are not normal at all. And I think that's what's going to catch a lot of folks off guard, especially if they haven't been staying up to date with the forecast. So if you're watching us at home, give your friends and family a call, let them know what's on the way, because these temperatures are going to be dangerous, if not life-threatening. We are talking about widespread sub-zero temperatures for much of the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, over the next several days. And so that is going to do a number on what we call the 4 Ps. So people should not be out in these kinds of frigid temperatures. Neither should pets. Also, your pipes certainly need to be well insulated heading into the days.
Be sure to clean your pipes.
And also plants. Bring those indoors if you haven't done so already. And I'm talking about it because this cold air is going to seep as far south as the Gulf Coast. So a lot of these locations where potentially maybe
Machine,
right
good
along
evening.
kind of the I-10 corridor, even elsewhere back off to the west. Yeah, haven't been feeling that cold so far this season, but this is going to be a shock.
Can't mention penis without showing some love to the balls.
He's kicking authority in the balls.
Oh. Guess that's the opposite of showing some love to the balls.
To so many as we really head into the last few days leading up to Christmas.
I'm Amy Freeze. Welcome to Fox Weather's YouTube page. We have more great videos.
Amy Freeze? Amy Freeze. That's your name. You are a weather person for Fox Weather, and your name is Amy Freeze. Amy Freeze, thank you for that update on the weather. Let's talk about the earthquake that hit California.
Responders have been seeing on the ground in Northern California. Let's bring in Tron B.A., fire captain, specialist, and public information officer for CAL FIRE Humboldt Del Norte unit. Thank you for being with us. Just terrifying to see the imagery as well. How are things at this hour?
Things have quieted down rather significantly, fortunately. Assessments continue.
Oh, come on, Simp. Don't correct me like that. Her name is Freeze.
Calmed down.
All right, so listen, you've been out assessing the structural damage in the area today.
Breaking my
What have you
balls.
seen out
Breaking my
there,
balls.
and how severe is the damage? I mean, for those of us that aren't on the West Coast and don't experience this maybe as much, fortunately, is a 6.4 magnitude something that makes houses crumble? Obviously, we see there's a lot of infrastructure damage to the roads.
Major.
Sure. Yeah, 6.4 isn't terribly common. Like you mentioned earlier, we did have a 6.2 just last year. But for whatever reasons, this one was significantly more violent. And in my travels today, came across quite a few structures, houses that were knocked off their foundations in the community of Rio Del to the south of us.
Oh, Lord, you say.
And some a school gymnasium there that was also damaged and red tagged.
Now, Tron, the earthquake woke you up this morning, and you say you weren't surprised, but that this quake was noticeably stronger than anything you felt in the last few years. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. This is a pretty seismically active area of California, and earthquakes are common, but this one was rather violent and jolting first, right out the gate. Sometimes you can hear them coming, feel a little bit of rolling underneath you, and you can kind of prep yourself for it. This one immediately just shook violently, and got out of bed real quick and made sure the family was taken cover.
So what was it, getting back to how you woke up, what was it that actually did wake you up? Was it the shaking and rattling, or did you
what a stupid question.
Was it a combination of the two? I'm just trying to put myself in that position.
It was an immediate jolt, a violent shake that occurred, and then the sound and the rumble, and then pots in the kitchen clanking together, and things rattling around the house all at once.
Now, aside from the 2 deaths that we know about, can you give us any updates about the number of injuries that were reported?
I guess you can tell that the anchors don't live in California.
So the information I have from the CAL FIRE Humboldt Del Norte dispatch center, we dispatched for most of the county with the exception of the city of Eureka and the city of Fortuna. We took a total of 130 calls today, which is about 80 to 100 calls more than the daily average. Of those, there were 72 of those calls happened in the first 2 hours following the earthquake. And there was 12 of those calls were medical calls, 2 of those being entrapments of people stuck in their structure, in their living, in their homes.
Well, sir,
I don't know if you guys noticed the Chiron. He is the California firefighter special.
So what was
a violent shake that occurred, and
back too
stuck in their structure.
Closed captioning is, yeah, California fire captain specialist. California fire captain specialist. So nice, you gotta say it twice. So I'm gonna let you guys in on a little something. I'm amazed I made it through this. I feel absolutely horrible. I feel like shit. Just as soon as I turn the stream off, I am laying the fuck down. So I am proud of myself for being able to trooper through this one. Oof. I did not have to cut it short like I did last night. But man, it's been a slog. So forgive me for my shitty performance. Subpar performance. But you know I'm not going to leave you without showing you an animal video. Here's a cat trying to block a field goal. Thank you guys. Hopefully just some rest and shit. The cats, my cats, kept me up. I did not get to sleep at all. Cats doing shit like this, keeping you up. Let's find out who's on Twitch right now. Kitty trying to block a field goal. If you're watching on Twitch, you're going to head over to Squid. Tell them the Freak Daddy sent you. Hopefully we'll be back in better health tomorrow. So if you're watching on Twitch, you're heading over to Squid. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I am Justin Freakin. We will see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol live.